This is an old IBM Thinkpad Model A20M. It was initially released on May 2000. It's an old machine I recently saved from being recycled. I paid $5 for it because I'm quite fond of these old ThinkPads. It was quite dirty, it had like dirt and dust all over it. But other than just a few cosmetic flaws, it seemed to be complete and in great condition. When I first got it, I wanted to wipe it down just so I don't get my hands dirty while I'm working on it. So there are a few things I really like about this laptop. For one thing, it has a USB. Also has a VGA out. It has a floppy disk port, and this is actually the hard drive bay. So if you want to swap out the hard drive, all you need to do is take out this one screw and pull the hard drive out. So that's nice. On this side, we have a CD DVD ROM. This is a PCI card slot. And on the back, we have, this is a RAM expansion module. And yeah, you can see that this unit had or has, I don't know, we're gonna check out whether it has a Windows 2000 Professional installed. It also has a battery, which is nice. I doubt the battery works, but it's nice that you don't have an empty bay here, because these batteries oftentimes go missing. If we open up this ThinkPad, we'll see that it does this thing that I really like about all ThinkPads. It just opens up all the way. There is no trackpad. There is only a track point nub here, which is fine. The only real problem I could see right off the bat with this unit is that it's missing the right cursor key right here. And also, if you take a look at the hinge, I do see some broken plastics around this hinge screw. So I'm just going to be careful opening and closing this unit up. It does seem to open up smoothly, and I'm not sure whether perhaps it was dropped on the corner or something, but yeah, there's a bit of damage with this brittle plastic. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug this unit in and see what it does. I can see the charge light coming up, so that's good. Okay, so let's give it a shot. We're gonna try powering the unit on. I hear noises. The screen is coming on. Alright. It looks like it just works. Let's see whether it boots off of that old hard drive. Okay, so it says check date and time error. This is fairly standard because the battery is dead, and also the CMOS battery seems to be dead. So yeah, we're gonna go and date and time setup here in the BIOS. Yeah, so it defaulted to 1980. We're gonna change that to something like, oh, okay, so I'm noticing that the keyboard works. Okay. Yeah, so it appears that this button, although the button itself is missing, it works. I guess it's kind of like a touchpad. Alright, cool. So that's functional. That's kind of nice. Okay, we're gonna change it to, I don't know, 2024. And we're gonna exit out of this and see whether it takes it. And perhaps it's gonna boot to an operating system of some sort. Let's see. Okay, it seems to be starting Windows. Which one? I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so it's Win2K Professional. So it's gonna boot into Windows 2000. That's nice. So we're gonna see what's on this installation. And that's one of the reasons I really like getting these old random systems, is just seeing what's on them. This is like a time machine for me. It's really interesting to go through these old computers and seeing, you know, what's on them. I try not to intrude in anybody's documents, but it's always nice to see to whom this particular computer belonged to and what did they do with it. I'm thinking that this was some sort of a business computer, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of story it tells. One thing I am noticing is how long it takes to boot into the OS here. So that tends to indicate that the drive is on its last legs. And actually, the drive is making some concerning noises, but it could be par for the course. Okay, so the sound is working. That's nice. The track point seems to be working. Okay, the computer seems to have loaded everything. Okay, so let's go into my documents. Okay, what I'm seeing here is a bunch of legal documents, which kind of confirms my suspicion that this was a business machine. So yeah, we can see that this computer was in operation up until 2008. I mean, it was an 8-year-old computer, which was fine. So I'd like to see whether or not this computer can read USB sticks. So we're going to try inserting a USB stick in the back. See what happens. Okay, so it sees it. Removable disk. Hell yeah, okay. That's cool. Okay, so I actually wanted to copy the contents of this hard drive to my USB stick because I'm not going to keep this installation. I would like to install Windows 98 on this machine, and in order to do that we're gonna have to format this disk, and I would like to preserve the installation and the files. Okay, so it's copying. I'm very curious how long this is going to take, given that this is USB 1. Alright, so I'm gonna report back once it's done copying all of these documents and files to the thumb drive, and yeah, and then we'll proceed to install Windows 98 2nd edition. Okay, so I've copied all of the documents to the USB stick, and I guess now it's time to see whether the drives work. I'm gonna try the DVD ROM drive. I've got a installation disk here, and we're gonna see whether the computer can read it first, and then we're gonna proceed to installing. So the disk is spinning up. It's not accessible. Interesting. Okay, we're gonna try restarting the computer and seeing whether or not we can boot off of that 98 SC boot disk. Okay, at this point I tried booting off of that CD, but it turns out that CD is not bootable. So I went looking through my box of random floppy disks, and I managed to find a 98 SC boot disk, which I used to initialize the installation. So the first thing I took care of was fdisk. I formatted the C drive, and then I waited until the scan disk did its thing. And yeah, after that, it was just a matter of waiting for the 98 setup to finish. And I was greeted with Windows 98 splash screen. I flipped it off for good luck, and then I entered a totally legitimate product key. I took care of a few other settings, and I got to the desktop. Afterwards, it was time to tackle the drivers. I've burned all the drivers I need to the CD, and I found all those drivers on the site called thinkpads.com, which is a great resource for these old ThinkPads. Now, it'd been a long time since I've installed Windows 98, and I had forgotten how tricky the drivers can be. Because unlike modern Windows, where you can just install the drivers and the computer will automatically detect them, with these old ones, you have to go into the device manager and tell the computers to specifically look for the drivers, which is a pain. Eventually, I got the sound working correctly, and I was very happy to hear the Windows 98 intro tune play. I've also installed the USB drivers, but they were kind of flaky because every now and then when I tried opening a file from the USB drive, it would go to the blue screen of death. So I started testing the sound on this thing because I was kind of curious how the sound chip sounded. And so I imported a couple of MIDI files, and I guess they sounded about as good as I expected to. The real reason I wanted to install Windows 98 instead of Windows 2000 is so that I could run DOS games. DOS games under Windows 98 run pretty good, and you always have the option to run them in real mode if you restart into MS-DOS mode. The only issue with DOS games under Windows 98 is going to be the sound chip. The Crystal Audio chip on this computer is not bad at emulating Sound Blaster and Adlib, but it's not ideal. So I tried running my favorite DOS games on this computer, including Doom, Doom 2, Jewel of the Jungle, Prince of Persia, and Duke Nukem 3D, and they all ran pretty good. Some of the DOS games I tried weren't completely compatible, but that's to be expected. Overall, I think this is a great little machine for running DOS games because unlike early 90s laptops, which have a passive matrix display which is really not suited to moving images, this thing has a high-resolution TFT panel which makes it very suitable for videos and games. In the end, I gave the computer one last wipe down with a microfiber cloth and some isopropyl alcohol. I also scrubbed the hard-to-reach places with a toothbrush. And yeah, one thing I wanted to pay close attention to was the track point nipple, little red thing. I took that off and I gave it a good scrub because these things get disgusting. And afterwards, after I was done playing with the nipple, I put it back in, and yeah. And just when I was done, I accidentally pressed the power on button and I witnessed a miracle because the machine actually turned on with the battery installed. It managed to get through the whole booting process and then it turned off. So I hope you liked taking a look at this little laptop with me. And if you liked this video, make sure to check out my other videos. I do all sorts of electronics and retro repairs. Thanks for watching.